big obstacles to state attorneys general who have tried to address it at the state level has been that the FDA actually has legal, they actually have the legal authority that in many cases preempts the state's ability to take action at the state level. So there have been in California and a couple other states, there have actually been efforts made to try to address this, at the state or the county level, and a lot of those legal efforts have failed because the FDA has, has the ultimate authority over it. I do think that I have some optimism that, again, because of Rita and Carol's efforts and Dave's efforts, that on the prescription side of things, that we are going to turn the corner, and that through a combination of very strict regulations, strict enforcement of those regulations, and just people like Sam kind of correcting the record as far as the danger of these drugs. I think that between the doing the right thing legally and the discussion and the culture changing, that I'm hoping we'll have turned the corner on that front. Where we do still face some challenges, the pill mills is one thing, and we also have kind of next levels down from that I think is challenging. We have some folks who are prescribing who have they're not pill mills in the sense that they are complying with the law, but they have sort of figured out how to walk right up to the line, and they're in technical compliance with the law, but they're not really engaging in good medical practice, and it is still profit driven, and people are getting prescribed drugs in a manner that's not illegal, but probably is not good medicine. And then you have another tier down from that. We have a relatively small, a very small percentage of doctors in Delaware, we know from our prescription drug database, who are prescribing a huge portion of the prescription opioids still. And again, that may be getting done in a technically legal way, but it's not, in every case, good medicine, and it's certainly not helpful in terms of trying to get that side of it under control. So, FDA aside, there are still, I think we're going in the right direction, and there are still those other tiers of providers and prescribers that I think we have to effectively address.
Thank you. So I think I'll just take two more questions. First, Secretary Landgraf, I just wanted to ask you one more question as it pertains to the treatment. Can you specifically share where the extra money in the budget is going in terms of where it's going for treatment? I know we've put a lot of money into treatment this year.
And it's actually going all throughout our state. We were able to add additional detox support down in Harrington because the state of Delaware only actually for decades had one detox center. So we knew that it was critically important to afford people access for medical detox. And then in addition to it, we've added what we call walk-in centers, and for 23 hours, where we can have medical professionals actually do a medical assessment to better understand what that individual's needs are. In addition, we're looking again and working in close contact with law enforcement to divert individuals away from the criminal justice system, and doing that in a variety of ways. In Newcastle County Hero Help, we're also working with our Attorney General to look at, even when people are coming through the court system, how could we, rather than go through a prosecution, bring them into treatment. We're adding additional support in rehabilitation facilities, and as well as sober living. And we're looking at specialty care. We're looking at where are people the most vulnerable. For instance, when they exit the criminal justice system, and this is something that Matt and I have been talking about, they are very, very vulnerable to going not only to relapsing, but then to engaging in heroin at the same level that they were at before they entered the criminal justice system, and then they die. And so we're looking at how do we then do more of a specialty care, specialty sober living, in particular for the most vulnerable populations who are at the highest risk for harm. The other thing we're seeing is people are entering our acute hospitals, and they are very much impacted by infection. They can be stabilized, but then they might need more of a medical home where then we can provide supports through PICC lines in order to support that level of infection that they're getting for, you know, the extreme drug usage that they might be using. So we have actually utilized that funding across our state in a variety of levels of care. We still need a lot more, and we still need to really address those populations that are at the highest risk that might not be able to conform to what we traditionally have promoted in our treatment system.
Thank you. So the last question I'm going to give to Don, because you have achieved so much in the last couple of years around getting us talking about this important issue and putting solutions forth that can help save lives and build our communities. So somebody asked the question, how do we promote community in Sussex County when our biggest obstacle is denial that we even have a problem? And I think we're starting to overcome the denial because we're all talking about it more, which is great, but clearly we still have a long way to go. What are your future goals and objectives in the near future? Anything we can do to be helpful to you? Anything we can work on with you, partner with you on? I know that you had naloxone as a serious policy change and you achieved that. So what's next and what can we do to help champion the work you're doing?
Well, one of the things that I've been trying to do for ever since I got into here was start or develop a recovery high school. I think we have needs for the schools to be able to work towards solving this problem. I know that there's a lot of issues with the schools in certain areas, but if the community and the school can work together, I think it's a good start. When I talk to kids in schools, and I've been at 2 Red Ribbon events this week, I tell the kids the cycle that we're in is going to have to change beginning with them. I mean, if there's no one to buy the drug, then there's no one to sell the drug, no one to use the drug, and they need to realize just how important this issue is and how dangerous it is for their well-being. All of them are not going to become addicted or substance abusers, but some of them will, and they won't want to be, but some of them will fall into the trap of doing that. And I would just like to see our schools and this recovery high school, if that is something that could work, I would really like to work on that.
Okay. You heard the challenge, everybody. Thank you all for coming. I know it was a rainy, windy, miserable night. I'm sure our turnout would have been higher had the weather been better, and it would have been worse had there been a World Series game tonight. So I'm grateful that we didn't hit a game night. But thank you all for coming, and if you have more questions, I'm sure our panelists would be happy to talk to you. Thank you.